So we just have to watch this.
Newcastle United's transfer business is shaping up, from revealing Paul Mitchell's interesting secret transfer strategy, to discussing a recent development on Sky Sports News regarding Bryan Mbeumo's potential move to Newcastle United, to Newcastle submitting an inquiry for a star in France, to Jacob Murphy closing in on 2 major rewards. What's the latest regarding Sven Botman's potential new contract? Plus, is Newcastle set to sign a recently relegated talent? As per, join us as we'll break it all down.
Let's go!
So starting off, as Newcastle United's convincing 2-0 win over Chelsea on Sunday has put them within touching distance of Champions League football for the 2025-26 season. With just one more win needed from their final 2 games against Arsenal and Everton, the Magpies are closing in on a return to Europe's elite, and that could have a major impact on the club's summer transfer plans. According to Mark Douglas of the iNews, new sporting director Paul Mitchell is already laying the groundwork for a transformative window, with 2 key objectives driving his approach: improving squad depth and lowering the average age of the team. Last season's injury crisis exposed the fragility of Newcastle's squad when competing on multiple fronts. That lesson has not been forgotten. With European football all but secured, Mitchell's strategy is built around building a more robust, youthful group capable of sustaining performance across domestic and continental competitions. Much of the current backline, Fabian Schär, Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn, and Jamal Lascelles, are all into their 30s, and refreshing the defense is seen as a priority. But beyond just replacing aging legs, Mitchell's vision includes injecting dynamism and long-term value across the entire squad. 2 parallel plans are being prepared, depending on where Newcastle finish this season. If they clinch a top 5 spot, the club will press the button on high-profile targets, players who are only likely to be persuaded by the promise of Champions League football. These are understood to be names already identified, with negotiations ready to intensify once qualification is mathematically secured. However, contingency plans are also being quietly worked on behind the scenes. There is a pragmatic acceptance that some elite targets will be out of reach if European qualification slips away, and Mitchell has alternative targets lined up who could still improve the squad under a different competitive context. This dual-track approach reflects a more structured and forward-thinking Newcastle, a club no longer scrambling for short-term fixes, but instead building sustainably with a clear eye on future growth. Whether they're shopping at Europe's top table or just beneath it, one thing is clear: this summer will mark the beginning of a new era under Paul Mitchell's guidance. Then, in order to have the funds to increase the depth as Paul Mitchell intends, one thing Newcastle surely won't be doing is fighting in bidding wars. Earlier this May, reports from a source close to the club at iNews began to emerge that Newcastle United had cooled their interest in highly rated Bournemouth defender Dean Huijsen. That development now appears to be confirmed, with Sky Sports News and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano both revealing that the Magpies might no longer be actively pursuing the Dutch centre-back. The reason for Newcastle's withdrawal has become clearer following news that Real Madrid has held direct contact with Huijsen's camp. According to Romano, the player's priority is now a move to the Spanish giants, with Huijsen viewing the opportunity as his ideal next step. Chelsea, Liverpool, and Arsenal have also been named as interested parties, indicating rising competition among top-tier clubs for the 19-year-old signature. But notably, Newcastle is not among them, even in an exclusive by Sky Sports News. This shift suggests that Newcastle has made a calculated decision to avoid entering a potential contract bidding war, especially given the financial pressures of maintaining balance under financial fair play regulations and their focus on strategic, targeted signings this summer. With the club now seemingly out of the Huijsen equation, attention may turn to more attainable defensive targets, players who not only fit the club's long-term project, but also align with its sustainable transfer approach. However, with the summer transfer window fast approaching, the right wing will surely be the priority, with Brentford winger Bryan Mbeumo among the top targets to reinforce Eddie Howe's attacking options. Reports had revealed that Brentford are now open to offers for the Cameroon international, provided their £60 million valuation is met. Mbeumo has enjoyed a standout Premier League campaign, scoring 18 goals and contributing 7 assists across 36 appearances. His consistent output and versatility in the final third make him an appealing option for a Newcastle side aiming to add firepower on the right wing following the departure of Miguel Almiron. Head coach Eddie Howe has already hinted at significant summer activity, describing the upcoming window as a big one, after Newcastle's 2-0 win over Chelsea. With Jacob Murphy having stepped up admirably this season, the club still views adding a high-caliber right-sided forward as a priority. Mbeumo, with his pace, directness, and Premier League proven quality, fits the bill. Despite having just 1 year left on his current contract, Brentford hold an option to extend Mbeumo's deal by a further year, giving them leverage in negotiations. Still, Newcastle's willingness to match the £60 million asking price will be pivotal, especially as competition from Liverpool, Manchester United, and Tottenham looms large. Eddie Howe addressed the prospect of another record-breaking deal, stating, "We've not been afraid historically if the money's there to sign a big player, such as Alex. For me, that was big money at the time, and it still is big money in anyone's world, but we felt he was the right player to spend that money on. So I'm more than happy to do that if that's the right thing, and it has the biggest effect for the team and for the squad." Although Newcastle's exact transfer budget remains fluid, with Champions League qualification and further outgoings likely to determine the scope of their spending. However, the club has shown in past windows, signing the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, Sven Botman, Alexander Isak, and Sandro Tonali, that they're not averse to bold moves when the right profile and price emerges. However, speaking via Sky Sports News, Brentford midfielder Christian Norgard added fuel to the fire by admitting Mbeumo is likely to go this summer. He acknowledged the club's historical success in preparing for the departures of star players and expressed confidence in Brentford's recruitment setup to handle another major exit.
I think Bryan is likely to go. I don't know with Wissa yet. Everyone still hope that he might stay. Either way, I'm happy for the season they've had, both of them, because they deserve it so much.
If Newcastle decide to push forward, Mbeumo could become the next marquee name through the door at St James's Park, a direct, creative threat with a proven track record in English football. Then, in another development, it seems Newcastle United are continuing their strategy of targeting talented players from relegated sides, with Mateus Fernandes emerging as the latest name of interest. The 20-year-old midfielder has quietly impressed in an otherwise disappointing season for Southampton, showing a blend of technical skill, energy, and versatility since joining from Sporting Lisbon last summer. Despite the Saints' struggles, Fernandes has stood out, contributing 3 goals and 5 assists, and ranking among the top under-21 players in Europe for ball recoveries. His ability to play multiple midfield roles fits the mold of Eddie Howe's system, and with Paul Mitchell's connections at Southampton, a deal could be realistic if Newcastle choose to act. However, financial constraints and squad priorities could influence whether a move materializes. Newcastle remain focused on signing a right winger, centre-back, goalkeeper, and striker this summer, meaning a central midfield addition may only be pursued if someone is sold. Sean Longstaff, now entering the final year of his contract, is one such possibility. While he could see out his deal, Newcastle may prefer to cash in while they can still demand a reasonable fee, and Joe Willock's future also remains uncertain due to his persistent injury issues. Fernandes would likely arrive as a depth option behind the starting trio of Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joelinton. But with the added fixture demands of European football next season, bolstering midfield depth is becoming more essential. Newcastle's PSR standing has improved, freeing them to act opportunistically in the market, particularly before the June 30th deadline. Yet with spending needing to be balanced across multiple key positions, the signing of Fernandes could ultimately hinge on whether funds can be raised from midfield departures. The young Portuguese talent is certainly on the radar, but a concrete move may only happen if space and budget are created through an outgoing sale. Then, Newcastle United's search for a goalkeeper appears to be expanding, with reports from L'Équipe revealing that the club have submitted an inquiry for Yahia Fofana. The Ivory Coast international, currently playing for Angers in Ligue 1 in France, is said to be attracting interest from multiple clubs, including Southampton and Torino. Yet it's Newcastle's approach 2 weeks ago that signals a possible summer move. At just 24 years old, Fofana has firmly established himself as his nation's number one and enjoyed an excellent season in France, playing every minute and playing a huge role in Angers' survival. Fofana stands at 6'4" and statistically ranks as one of the top-performing goalkeepers in Ligue 1 this season, second only to Stade Reims' Yvan Diouf in key metrics. What makes this link even more intriguing is the reported price tag of 8 to 10 million euros, which would represent a very cost-effective addition in today's market, especially when compared to other options like Burnley's James Trafford. Trafford has long been viewed as Newcastle's top target, and it's been reported that the 22-year-old has already agreed personal terms with the Magpies. However, after having a massive 29 clean sheets in the Championship, Burnley's promotion back to the Premier League could complicate matters, potentially increasing his price and giving Scott Parker's side added leverage. While Nick Pope remains an excellent shot stopper, his limitations with the ball at his feet have been clear, and Eddie Howe's desire to play out from the back may force the club to find a more complete option between the sticks. Fofana's emergence as a serious target, especially given Paul Mitchell's deep knowledge of Ligue 1 following his time at Monaco, could signal a clever market shift. Newcastle may be attempting to blend high-profile, big-money moves with lower-risk, lower-cost signings, essential in a summer that will likely involve strategic budgeting due to FFP and squad depth requirements. The club's wish list reportedly includes upgrades in several key areas: goalkeeper, centre-back, right winger, and striker. But with a potential £140 million needed to land names like Mark Guehi, Bryan Mbeumo, and Liam Delap, it becomes clear why value signings like Fofana could be crucial. If Newcastle are to remain competitive across multiple fronts next season, while staying within budget constraints, this mix of marquee signings and shrewd recruitment may define their transfer strategy. Then, in another development, Newcastle United's youth recruitment strategy is beginning to reflect the long-term vision laid out by sporting director Paul Mitchell. In what used to be an underdeveloped aspect of the club, the academy is now seeing a quiet yet significant transformation. Rather than simply relying on marquee senior signings, the club is placing increasing emphasis on nurturing low-cost, high-potential talents who could either break into the first team in the future or generate profit through smart loan moves and eventual sales. Among the most recent additions are Antonio Cordero from Malaga, Vakhtang Salia from Georgia, and Turkish midfielder Baran Yildiz, all of whom have been identified as project signings with promising upside. Cordero, expected to arrive on a free transfer in June, has already attracted attention, with a loan move to Ajax reportedly on the cards. According to Craig Hope of the Mail, all three are set to be loaned out for the 2025-26 season, with none currently in line for senior squad involvement. Eddie Howe has had minimal input in their acquisition, with the responsibility for identifying suitable loan destinations falling to Jack Ross, who is receiving growing praise for his role in developing Newcastle's next generation. The club has had some recent success and failures in sending young players abroad, particularly to the Netherlands. The Eredivisie has hosted the likes of Garang Kuol, Yankuba Minte, and Miodrag Pivas, offering them valuable first-team minutes and a platform to grow. However, Pivas is currently experiencing a challenging loan spell at Willem II, where he has averaged just 8 minutes. This highlights the importance of choosing the right clubs for loaning players, as the right environment is crucial for their development. In addition to these new signings, Alfie Harrison is another name expected to head out on loan. The 19-year-old midfielder, brought in from Manchester City in 2024, has been one of Newcastle's standout under-21 performers, recording 10 goal contributions in 20 Premier League 2 games. However, with fierce competition in midfield and Newcastle's 4-3-3 system offering limited opportunities for a traditional number 10, a loan move, potentially within the EFL, could be crucial to his development. Breaking into a midfield containing talents like Lewis Miley will be no easy task, and regular senior minutes elsewhere may offer a clearer path forward. These developments point to a more strategic and layered approach to squad building under Mitchell. Newcastle are no longer merely filling gaps, they are building a foundation. Whether these young prospects eventually make their mark on Tyneside or generate value through the market, the club is clearly investing in a smarter, more sustainable model, one that looks to secure long-term success both on and off the pitch. However, choosing the right club for loans will be crucial, as seen in the experiences of Garang Kuol and Miodrag Pivas. Then, as Jacob Murphy's remarkable transformation at Newcastle United continues to gather pace, with the winger now on the verge of 2 major personal milestones, a potential new contract and an England national team call-up. Murphy delivered his 20th Premier League goal involvement of the season during Newcastle's 2-0 win over Chelsea, providing a pinpoint cross for Sandro Tonali's opener. That assist marked his 12th of the campaign, placing him behind only former Magpies Nobby Solano and Andy Cole for most assists in a single Premier League season by a Newcastle player, an elite group for the 30-year-old to join. According to Mark Douglas of The Eye, Murphy's outstanding form has caught the attention of both club and country. Internally, Newcastle are reportedly preparing to offer Murphy a new contract to reflect his importance in Eddie Howe's system. Despite the club targeting another right winger this summer, most notably Brentford's Bryan Mbeumo, Murphy is seen as a key squad figure moving forward. His resurgence is also beginning to gain recognition beyond Tyneside. Douglas reports that Murphy is under consideration for an England call-up, with new Three Lions manager said to be impressed by his performances. Tuchel recently handed Dan Burn his first England cap, and Murphy may soon follow, especially with upcoming fixtures against Andorra and Senegal in June. Now represented by the Wasserman Group, the same agency as Lewis Hall and Tyno Livramento, Murphy's late career renaissance mirrors the trajectories of his younger teammates. His influence on and off the pitch has made him a dependable figure in Howe's evolving squad. With 23 goal contributions across all competitions, including 9 goals and 14 assists, Murphy has defied expectations. If Newcastle had signed a new right winger last summer and projected these stats, fans would have expected a marquee talent. Instead, it's Murphy, once seen as a fringe player, who has stepped up, earning every minute and every plaudit through sheer determination and tactical intelligence. Whether or not England comes calling this summer, Jacob Murphy's season already stands as a testament to perseverance, growth, and the belief that under Eddie Howe, second chances can lead to something special. Then, according to iNews, Sven Botman is willing to commit his future to Newcastle United, a timely and significant boost for the club as they look to build on their upward momentum. Despite strong interest from Paris Saint-Germain before his ACL injury, the Dutch centre-back is now reportedly open to signing a new contract at St James's Park. Given his consistent performances when fit and the leadership he has demonstrated in Newcastle's defensive line, retaining a player of Botman's quality would be a major statement of intent by the Magpies. For a club still on its ascent, fending off interest from European giants like PSG is not only a victory in the transfer market, it's a signal that Newcastle is becoming a project that elite players want to be part of long-term. PSG's presence in this year's Champions League final underscores the level of club that we're circling, which only amplifies the value of Botman's loyalty. The fact that he remains open to extending his stay, even after serious injury and knowing what's potentially on offer elsewhere, speaks volumes about the environment Eddie Howe and the club have built. Newcastle's resurgence, underpinned by smart recruitment and consistent investment from their Saudi ownership group, is quickly translating into success. With a Carabao Cup win already secured and Champions League qualification within touching distance, the team is beginning to match ambition with achievement. Convincing players like Botman to stay could also prove pivotal in holding on to other prized assets such as Bruno Guimaraes, Alexander Isak, and Anthony Gordon, core figures in the club's future plans. If Newcastle can finish the season strongly and secure a top 5 place, it will go a long way in solidifying their place among England's elite and avoiding a potential talent drain. For Botman, who is just entering his prime, staying at Newcastle could provide the perfect platform to grow into one of Europe's top defenders, while playing a leading role in one of football's most intriguing projects. Then finally, in an exciting development, if you would want to know why Newcastle just gotten scarier, click the video link on screen now.